Hey, everybody. Hopefully, everyone's having a wonderful Saturday. This is episode 2 of the Between Two Divs podcast with your boy Cam. I really appreciate all the love I got last week. I honestly did not expect so many people to listen to the podcast. Like, I thought maybe you got 10 people, maybe at most 20, but I had over 100 people listen to the podcast so far. I was a little nervous. I was like, I don't know. Like, I kind of said like a lot. And I even think this week I'll probably say like a lot too. But I don't really care. I just want to give y'all quality content. I want to give y'all a lot of gems, a lot of good guests that I think that y'all get a lot of value from. And this week is no different. This week I got my man Jibril Sulaiman in the house. So without further ado, Jibril, what's up?
Thank you for having me on the show, Cam.
Yeah, so first things first, tell people more about Incluzion, the story behind that.
Oh, wow, man. Inclusion started from a passion of me in particular trying to solve a problem in economic empowerment, right? I mean, that's just at its simplest form. As a small business owner, as a tech startup founder, as someone who served on his hometown's board for at the African American Chamber of Commerce, just from being, I would say, a part-time activist and being involved in social justice issues. A lot of things, power comes from economics. And so that word economic empowerment, I mean, it's an influential word in my life. Even trying to, pulling yourself up from the bootstraps and building something of your own. It's everyone can attain certain levels of economic empowerment, and technology nowadays, it makes it a lot easier to do it, especially in small cities and towns where you wouldn't normally see that at. And that's been my life in many instances.
Awesome.
I know I didn't get into the question of what inclusion was, but that's the basis of it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I know I'm a part of like a boot camp. Like I teach students and stuff every day. I go to a Lambda school, and I always tell my students that we're so early in tech, and there's like a group that I'm a part of. It's like Solid Code, and like it's a bunch of brothers and sisters that like they all try to help each other out, and they're all trying to get in the industry. As boot camp grabs, I think a lot of times there's a lot of imposter syndrome, and I think they get discouraged that there really isn't a lot of resources, a lot of people out there that are trying to help them get those jobs because, there's a lot of underrepresented groups out there in tech. And I feel your platform, what you're doing and like your goals of what you're trying to do to help more brothers and sisters out, I think is real dope. And my question to you is, did you ever see yourself in this position today, when you first started? Can you kind of share more about like your humble beginnings and stuff?
Oh man, it's been a process, right? It's been a process. Before, like I was telling you before, the show started, I've always been inquisitive. I've been that person that has taken my toys apart. I have those as an entrepreneur. I have those stories of selling candy in high school. I remember my dad, it was two of us, my brother and I, my younger brother and I, he bought us a go-kart. Well, he bought 2 go-karts. One had a running engine and worked, and the other one, it was just a frame, and it was all rusty and messed up and everything. And I remember taking that frame and, getting some WD-40, going to the store, getting a few dollars, getting the WD-40 and cleaning it up. Shopper, the Thrifty Nickel, one of the little classified papers at like 12 or 13 years old. And some grown white dude came to the house, and I negotiated with him and I sold it. And, I sold a few bikes like that and a few other things as well. And so I've always been that person. My dad, he's been a great example of an entrepreneur, even in the hats and t-shirt business and landscaping and everything. And so, I took that, moved into wireless business, opened up a few wireless stores for about 10 years. And from there, with the problem that existed in being able to accept payments from our prepaid wireless customers, I ended up in the tech industry as a startup founder. I grew the company, didn't know the things that I needed to know about coding at the time. It was hacking it, but the money was coming in, and I was able to spend a lot of money on trial and error and figuring it out and hiring developers to work on the system. And from there, that really led to a situation where I was able to work on other things. So I started working on a platform called Spend With at the time. And it was more of a cultural shopping platform that highlighted businesses from, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses, and so forth. But it was around providing some type of economic empowerment or economic development for physical businesses. But when I look back on what I was doing with PaySale at the time, I was really more of a transactional entrepreneur. So it was around transactions, virtual transactions. At that time, it was payments. And so I was trying to kind of figure out how can I pivot Spend With into something that captured virtual activity. But it provided that still economic empowerment for the person who was providing that service. So, and that's when I really started kind of looking back on the fact that I had already been doing that and providing economic empowerment for the people who I was hiring through the other freelance platform that I was using. So how could I do that for especially minority people, underrepresented talent that's out there, especially in the United States? And so that's when it kind of came together on I should launch Incluzion and pivot to Incluzion. And that's what I did in 2018 with launching the platform.
That's awesome. It kind of goes full circle to kind of like the first question I asked. So that's cool. What would you say, because I know you didn't really start working on tech and stuff like that. What would you say someone that maybe is a developer or something, what advice would you give them if they're trying to eventually own their own business and start a startup?
My main answer that I give to anybody on starting a business is have some type of expertise or practical experience, I should say, in running part of that business, some part of it. So if you launch a restaurant, you had better damn well have at least worked as the manager of a restaurant before you try to launch your own restaurant, right? And that's important and having that success, or have the money or the story and influence to be able to bring in the people who can support you that are smarter than you are in that particular industry. So, you have people that do that all the time. They'll start a business and they'll install a CEO to that business, and it's not the original founder of that business. So it happens all the time. So you need to either have that knowledge or those resources in order to have the right person there, or you better be the right person yourself. So, and then also you just have to have that work ethic. I mean, it has to be a drug in being able to make sure that whatever you're doing is successful and that you're successful at it. So those would be the things that I would say that you would need. And so, I can relate to you as far as the boot camp experience. I was in a boot camp as well in 2017 myself, even though I had been in tech for so many years and picked up some things here and there. I went through a boot camp. My wife, she's right now on Udemy right now going through Coach Steele's boot camp class, and then she's going to go to one of the boot camps as well, actually get enrolled. So I understand this whole process and people bringing in a skill and then wanting to apply that skill, of course. So that's one of the things that we want to do with Incluzion, is that a lot of times there's a transition period when you grasp and when you learn a new skill, and then from being able to build that skill, you could do it for free. But in many instances, you should have the opportunity to work side jobs, building up that skill. And so either through projects or through actual, short-term contract jobs, you should be able to do that. And we want to highlight the people that are out there that we feel as though has been underrepresented in so many ways in the job market already. We want to be able to represent them and highlight them in this new flexible future of work that's happening right now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I know I get this question a lot, or I see this question a lot. If you don't have any like projects in your portfolio, do you recommend someone working for a small amount of money, or do you recommend them working for free to build their portfolio up? Like what's your take on that?
Definitely. Everything starting off is a grind. I mean, no matter what it is, I mean, you could be out there just cutting grass. You're going to have to cut some nice lawns and have a nice presentation and take some pictures of it so that you can get the bigger jobs, right? So, that's just the fundamental around landscaping, just because I grew up around that with my dad and all. But I mean, it's the same thing applies to any type of work. That's the same thing that I'm telling my wife right now. She's been coding and she's been on there, and I'm like, well, put yourself out there. tweet hashtag women who code and 100 days of code. And even if you're not doing full applications every day, tweet about the fact that you are out there, you are on the new concepts that you're working on, the new things that you're learning. So even if you're not doing projects for free for other people, make sure that you're doing projects for yourself. Make sure you're learning. Make sure that you're putting out there to the public that you are learning new concepts and you're growing. Because to be able to get a job out here, getting a job is always about relationships. Very few often do you apply to a job, someone looks at the application, they bring you in for an interview, and then they hire you. It's going to either come through, nowadays, it's going to come through some type of social media activity. It's going to come through some type of network or relationship, or it's going to come through just the publicity of just really putting yourself out there and getting noticed. A recruiter in many instances also, right? So that's always important in doing that. And then having those free jobs, grinding it out also.
Yeah, that's an interesting take, because I know, like, I always hear like a debate going about like, "Oh, I would never work for free, this, that, whatever." And like you said, just having yourself out there and like being people, you never know who that person is that's watching your stuff, like whether that is on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. I know, like, I do YouTube videos, and I'm always surprised when I get like 5 or 6 people hit me up and was like, "Cam, I saw your Lambda video. You inspired me to get in." And at the time, I was like, man, I wish they would have like an affiliate program or something, because I could have made bank with all the people that signed up seeing my story and stuff, you know?
Right.
But yeah, it's just interesting. Like, the internet is like I feel like right now it's like the wild, wild west. As long as you're out there, and I'm sure, your wife's a real lucky person. And I'm sure you feel the same way about her. Y'all are able to like give each other like encouragement and feedback, advice, and, all that stuff, because like it's hard doing it alone.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on that with my son too. He actually, he's 18. He just graduated high school and he elected. I'm a little disappointed on it, but I respect him on his opinion, on his belief that, he didn't want to take on the debt from college. He elected to go to coding boot camp instead, so
Okay.
I'm definitely supportive of him in doing that. So, and so I want to work with him too. So yeah, this whole boot camp lifestyle. So from me to my son to my wife, it is important that there is a streamlined way that people can, especially Black people in this case, my family, my Black family, can be able to get jobs and get work. And so this solution that I'm providing, the problem that I'm solving basically is the fact that there's an ongoing issue with companies not being able to access diverse white collar talent, right? And now that the world is becoming more flexible, professionals want some type of flexible work-life balance, and companies are now hiring more freelancers and contractors than they are full-time employees. Like, who's out there being the proponent in regards to flexible work? And no one is. You have staffing companies that are out there that are diversity focused, but then you don't have any staffing companies and freelancing platforms that are diversity focused. You don't have any gig platforms out there that are diversity focused. So we're kind of first to the punch in regards to that. There are 2 platforms out there that focus on specifically women. And so, I don't want to take anything away from that, but at the same time, we need to focus on more demographics than just women. We have our Black and Latino men and women that are out there also that are being disenfranchised from the tech work that's available. So we need to make that connection, and that's what Incluzion is doing.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's just like, salute to all your endeavors for sure. I really feel like when people like help others, like what you're doing, I feel like you'll get many times over what you put into this, as opposed to someone that maybe does a business, say a Facebook or something, and it's not really to help others. It's more to kind of make their pockets bigger and stuff like that. So
yeah, I appreciate it. We just finished the Acumen Future of Work Accelerator. So I just, got back from New York a couple of days ago. And one of the things that this past week, this session that we had was focused on making sure that I could articulate the social impact nature of what we're doing, right? And so I already had these social impact kind of one-liners in there. But the main thing that I'm focusing on now is that, look, for every dollar of revenue that we generate as a company, the talent that's on our platform would generate $5 of earnings back to them. And that is, so our revenue model is contingent on providing economic empowerment to the candidates that are in our pipeline. So, I mean, that's powerful. That's powerful. And but I needed to learn how to articulate that. And I'm grateful for this program and helping me to do that, along with many other things as well.
Yeah, like I said, you've been awesome. Like I'm glad that you kind of shared your story. Like I will definitely be sharing your company and what you do to like all the channels I'm a part of, especially ones that have minorities in it, because I feel like it's very important for them to be aware of that. And I think that the problem is sometimes like there's platforms out there, but since there's so much of those platforms are, platforms for like, white folks or people that aren't minorities, it gets overshadowed. So the ones like what you have, it doesn't really get to the forefront as much unless you're out there paying a lot of money for advertising and stuff. So I will definitely be doing that, and I appreciate you taking the time in your busy schedule to do this chat with me, because it's been real insightful, and I'm sure that there'll be people that will be inspired and will like take action on some of the advice that you have given.
Cam, I appreciate the opportunity, man, to be able to talk to you. Definitely.
Anyone that has any questions or want to reach out to Jibril, like what's your social that so people can reach out to you?
I am at that dude Jibril on everything. So DATDUDEJIBRIL. And then also it's JibrilSulaiman.com, JibrilSulaiman.com. That'll take you to my Calendly link if you want to set up a time to talk or whatever. So, and also just please check out Incluzion. It's Incluzion, INCLUZION.co. So inclusion.co, or it's inclusion.com also.
Awesome. So yeah, appreciate everybody tuning in for this episode number 2 of the Between Two Divs podcast. This was a great talk, and tune in for next week. We're going to have another great guest, and I'm sure y'all will love it. Peace.